Hello, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are talking about warm-up. So I asked you guys a little while back if you were interested in me making a video about how to warm up properly, and a lot of you said yes. A lot of you said that this is not something that you feel like you are currently doing well. And let me tell you, not warming up or not warming up properly is a very quick way to get injured, especially if you're doing plyometrics or any type of jumping training, or if you're using heavy weights and your body is not ready for it, is not warmed up. It is just, you're right on the route to injury. My warm-up time before my workout start is actually a time that I really enjoy. It really gets me pumped, it gets me motivated to work out, it gets me not only physically but also mentally ready to really go in and crush my workout. Physiologically, warming up, what it does for your body is that it increases blood flow to the muscles that you are going to be using, and that what it does is that it not only warms up your tissues, but it increases their elasticity, so that also increases their ability to contract properly and give you the most power output while you're working out. Not only does it warm up your muscles, but it also warms up your joints. Getting some slow movement in before you start the more fast-paced movement or the heavier movements, it really gives your joints the time to lubricate and to get used to that range of motion that you're going to be putting them through later, so it's going to decrease your risk of, once again, not necessarily injuring yourself, but even just having little aches and pains in your joints. That usually is decreased if you warm up properly. Alright, so let's jump right into it. We're not going to waste any time. The first part of a good solid warm-up is a general warm-up. So what that means is that you're doing movements that require multiple joints. So for example, this can be something like pure cardio, example walking on a treadmill, getting on the bike, using the rower. It's something that uses, like I said, multiple joints, multiple muscles, and gets your heart rate high, somewhere around the low to moderate range. So you don't want to be dying, but you do want to start breaking a small sweat, enough so that your entire body's temperature increases a little bit. If you don't have access to a gym or to cardio equipment, another good way that you can get your general warm-up done is by doing some body weight movements. So slowly starting to do some squats, some lunges, you can do some butt kicks, some high knees, you can do some walking lunges. Start doing movements like that are using only your body weight, so you're not adding any extra weight to it. And you're just really doing things that, like I said earlier, is going to bring your heart rate up a little bit. This part of the warm-up is what gets your blood flowing to your extremities, to those muscles that are going to be used. It also increases the core temperature and improves the elasticity of those muscles, like I mentioned earlier. So a good amount of time usually for this is between 5 to 10 minutes. So obviously it depends. If you're doing a full body workout, I recommend something more like rowing or doing body weight exercises that include some upper and some lower body. Whereas, for example, when I have a pure leg day, I prefer to use the bike because it really warms up my knees, warms up my quads, warms up my lower body muscles. So here you can pick and choose a little bit and be more flexible with what you use for the general warm-up, but please do not skip it. It is really going to make the rest of your warm-up and the rest of your workout so much better. Alright, part number 2 is something that is not mandatory. I personally enjoy doing it, but it is not something that you absolutely have to do in order to have a good warm-up, and that is foam rolling. So usually right after my general warm-up, I take 3 to 5 minutes to foam roll the muscles that I'm going to be using, or the muscles that I know have a little bit more tension. Like for example, if I feel like my knees are a little bit tighter, I'm going to foam roll my quads, I'm going to foam roll my IT band on the side. Same thing if I feel like my shoulders and my upper body is a little tight, I might foam roll my lats, I might foam roll some other muscles that I feel could use it a little bit. And I think it's good to do it right in between the general warm-up and then the more dynamic specific warm-up that we're doing after, because the dynamic warm-up usually requires more range of motion, faster movements. So if you do want to add some foam rolling in there, now would be the perfect time right in between those two parts of the warm-up. Alright, and now we move on to part 3, which, like I said, is the dynamic warm-up. So this is where you're going to be adding dynamic stretches. So you want to be putting your muscles and your joints through the full range of motion that you are going to be using later. So here, once again, you want to keep it a little bit more specific to the body parts that you're going to be using. So if, for example, you're doing an upper body day, you might not necessarily need to do leg kicks to warm up your hamstrings or deep lunges to warm up your hip flexors. Keep it specific to the body parts that you are going to be working in your workout. For the dynamic warm-up, once again, I usually take 5 to 7 minutes. It really depends on what I am doing that day. If I know that I'm going to be doing heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, then I focus on this a little bit more because I know that opening up my hips is really important in order for those movements to feel really good after when I'm doing them. So I will take a little bit more time. Usually for upper body days, my dynamic warm-ups don't take me more than 5 minutes because it is rare that my upper body feels tenser. And to finish off the dynamic warm-up, this is where you want to move into your more specific warm-up. So this is where you warm up the specific movements that you are going to be doing. So especially your compound movements, if you're starting with pull-ups, with bench press, with squats, with deadlifts, with lunges, whatever it might be that you're doing that requires more muscle groups, more stability, and where there's also usually a little bit more potential for injury, especially if you're trying to push yourself and get in those heavier weights. Want to make sure that you start and do those same movement patterns but with lighter weight so that you can work yourself up to that heavy weight that you are trying to reach. And also before you start working your way up to those heavier weights, I also highly recommend doing some activation exercises, especially if you know that you have a hard time activating certain muscles, or if you know that you might have some imbalances or just some muscles that you have a harder time getting to work properly during your workouts. So really good examples of some activation that I always recommend people do. Some glute activation before leg day can be really good, especially the glute medius, because it is so important, especially if you're doing single leg exercises. It really helps stabilize your hips, your knees, so that your knees don't go into that valgus position, so it can really prevent injury there. For your upper body, I think it's really important to activate the muscles around your scapula that are going to keep your shoulder blades and your shoulder joints more stable. Alright, so to summarize before we finish this video, to get a proper warm-up, you want to start with a general warm-up where you bring your heart rate up somewhere close to the mid-range. So you want to start breaking a sweat, you want to start getting blood flowing to your extremities, to those muscles that you're going to be using. Then next, if you want to and if you feel the need to, you can add some foam rolling in there, more specifically for the muscles that you are going to be using or the muscles that might be feeling a little bit more tense than usual. Then we move on to the specific warm-up. So this is where you want to add more dynamic stretching. You want to focus on the joints and the muscles that you are going to be using later on. Make sure that you bring those joints and those muscles to their full range of motion so that once you start actually doing your workouts, your body has already been through that extreme of ranges that you're going to be putting it through. And to finish off that dynamic warm-up, you want to add some specific warm-up for the movement patterns that you are going to be doing. I hope this has been helpful. I just wanted to make a really quick video just to give you guys a good idea of the different things that need to be included in a warm-up and how to get that done properly. If ever you have any questions or you want me to make more specifically actually show you my full leg day warm-up or my full upper body day warm-up, then let me know in the comments below and I can film that beginning to end for you guys so you can get a full example and all the visuals of how it is that I actually go about it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you enjoy and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys soon.